to the family, y'all. Peace, love, and light. Welcome back. Welcome back to another observation, another discussion. Thank you for leading off with that. Oh, shit, I ain't even... Yo, word of my mother, this was not intentional. I didn't know that it was 4:44. But ironically, and then I didn't know it was 4:44. I sat down to go live because I was supposed to go live earlier, should I say. And I ain't remember why I specifically wanted to go live. And then I just remembered I wanted to go live to speak about the fact that it's the anniversary of 4:44. 4:44, the album came out June 30th, 2017. Now, if you do the math with me, that was 6 years ago. You feel me? I did not intend for it to be 4:44 when I went live. I seen somebody write it in the comments, and then I looked up at the time, and I was like, oh shit, it's 4:44. That's a dope synchronicity. I think that that's a beautiful segue to speak about this frequency called 4:44 and how, when you're on a frequency, you can tap into it unconsciously and just catch the wave. It's a frequency, it's a vibration, it's a consciousness, and it means a lot of different things. We'll get into some of them today. We'll definitely get an opportunity to touch on some of that stuff. And be 1,000,001 people, to ask me questions about the number 44. And today of all days is the day that we should speak about the number 44, or specifically the number 444, because this is the 6-year anniversary of when Jay-Z released the album 444. All right. Now I'll give you a little backdrop about 444, the album, and why it was so significant in my life. I got to get personal for 1 second, because the way that I segue shit and line things up is definitely going to make sense if you follow what I'm attempting to tell you. So, 444, the album, it seemingly came out of nowhere, right? Around the beginning of June, the ending of May, beginning of June, right? So this would be right after Memorial Day of 2017. We started seeing an anonymous campaign break out around New York, and it was advertising the numbers 444. They were not speaking about who it was associated to, but being who I am and the fact that I've always been on top of the number 44, people started hitting me up. And some people were even clever enough to not only hit me up to make an observation and make a connection automatically to Jay-Z. Now, just to go back just a little bit further, I've been lecturing on the number 44 since 2009. I believe it was 2009 when I started doing lectures on the number 44. And November 29th, 2009 was the actual date that I did my first lecture. And the first lecture was titled Blueprint 322, and it was all about hip-hop and the Illuminati. We were introducing people to the concepts of what Aleister Crowley, Illuminati, Thelema, all of these things mean, so they would know. We didn't have to have so much bad decoding, because there was so much bad decoding taking place prior to that. And people were sounding like puritanical Christians, and you can't step on the stage of consciousness and bring Christianity outside, right? And then buy into the spookism, because they was attempting to misalign the Illuminati with spookism. Oh, they're Illuminati because they're using pyramids, and they're or they're using this, or they're using that, or even they're using Baphomet, right? We just wanted to get more of a historical, we just wanted to give that narrative more credence and give it a little bit more history it deserved a little bit more history at the time. We wanted to give it a little bit more observation, and we wanted to bring receipts to the table in places where receipts were deserved. That lecture, Blueprint 322, became the very first lecture that they bootlegged for a series called Exposed. Right? There was an underground DVD movement, an underground DVD series called Exposed. And that became some people's first introduction to consciousness, or later on what will probably will become woke or something like that. But it started out with with that series called Exposed, and the very first Exposed episode was an overdub of a DVD that we did called Blueprint 322. On Blueprint 322, that's why I introduced the concept of the Law 44, and I started making my connections between Jay-Z and the number 44 all the way back in 2009. So in 2017, when the advertisements started popping up all over the place for this album that was coming called 444, a lot of people started hitting me up, and a lot of people were able to make the connection already based on what we had already shared with them about Jay-Z and his affinity for the number 44. His shared affinity with his wife, right? They both are fascinated by the number 4. They were married on April 4th. They have 4 tattoos tattooed around their ring fingers. They named their daughter Blue Ivy. Ivy is the Roman numerals for the number 4. Right? So they were both born on the 4th of their respective months. Beyonce September, Jay-Z December. Right? They metaphorically represent the twin pillars of Jacqueline and Boaz, or J and B, strength and beauty, right? Which would be Leo and Virgo. And we know Jay-Z's not Leo, right? But nonetheless. So all of these different motifs, But the interesting that happened is on May 22nd of 2017, a video came out on Brother Richard's channel. So this was the Monday of the long weekend, right? The Monday of the long weekend. The long weekend that we were coming out of Memorial Day weekend. Me and my brother was at the BAM Festival in Brooklyn, the African BAM Festival, and we did a series of interviews with Brother Rich that weekend, where we were busting our gasket, if you will, and speaking on things taking place in the conscious community at the time, and really pulling people's coat. So we called out Ali Muhammad, and then we called out, it might have been, I don't know if Minister Inky was part of the first leg of the call out, what we were doing that weekend. It was a lot of bullshit going on, and it was at a tipping point, so we had to say something. And we said something that people got in their feelings. But then the video that came out Monday, it caused a lot of controversy, and that's when we called our brother Polite. And this was a watershed moment for us, for consciousness, for the community, because I have been accredited with, even through, from our brother's own mouth, by saying, Blue Pill was the one to open the door and let me in the community. So I was kind of synonymous with this individual's success, you know what I'm saying? And I utilized my platform, Know the Ledge Radio, to give this individual a stage to be heard and to, broadcast his message and to amplify his voice, and, to do all of the things that was necessary for him to have a successful career. I had heard about the scamming, and I was doing a lot on the back end to clear up things for this young brother. I didn't have no pony in the game. Yeah, I had my name to protect. I had my brand to protect, you know what I'm saying? But more so, I was concerned about the customers. I was more so concerned about the community. I was concerned about things that, you feel me, that I considered to be valuable. And I had to make a decision. It was a career decision. and that was whether to speak up on behalf of the people who were the small people who were silent, who in this community, real talk, are considered inconsequential. You know what I'm saying? If you want to keep it real, you know what I mean? They're inconsequential because they're considered replaceable, right? One person to leave and somebody is always going to be there to replace them. Niggas really don't care. You know what I'm saying? So they like, damn, you going to put your life on the line? You're going to put your career, you're going to put your friendships, you're going to put your status and your position in the community to say something about some people who you don't even know against a person that you know very well. And I was like, yo, this shit is getting out of control. You know what I'm saying? And there's people were going to the elders, and the elders were shaking in their boots. I'm going to keep it 1,000 today, right? Because that's where we at with it. The elders were shaking in their boots. The elders didn't have no smoke. The elders didn't have no clapback. The elders didn't have no pushback. So what did the elders do? They came to me and Red, and they said, if y'all say something, we're going to get behind you. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to levy some charges against Brother Polite for the indiscretions in the community that have been done. And we're going to bring forth our witnesses. We're going to bring forth testimonials. We're going to bring forth this. We're going to bring forth that. They promised us a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? They promised a lot of shit, and they didn't follow through with almost any of it. And that's neither here nor there. That's a discussion to be had on another day. But we got set up. You feel me? We got set up. We got set up on both sides. You know what I mean? Because it's like the people be like, oh, nobody's saying nothing. Y'all allowing this to happen. You allowed this brother on your platform. You knew I didn't know he was doing the motherfucking thing. The things that I didn't know is like, oh, this nigga didn't ship somebody their book, right? Because he was selling books at first. Remember, he's the author of over 90 plus books. So every time a lecture would drop, he would come out with a book. You know what I'm saying? I know that he was self-publishing. So I was one of the only entrepreneurs in the community at that time, juggling more than one company. So I know how shit could get when you really don't have the support. But everybody's like, this nigga got 3 or 4 wives. Like, how you can't get somebody their book? So I would buy time and be like, bro, you gotta get your orders out. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get the people their shit. I would hit the wives. I had certain people that I knew to go to when somebody came back to us with a complaint about a book that was missing or several books that was missing. We was able to buy time to clean that up. You feel me? Bro, don't do that shit again. All right, I won't. All right, we good? Yeah, we good. Back to business. And what's the business? The business is that we're utilizing our platform for promotion. You know what I'm saying? And promotion mainly of events and lectures and things of that nature. Right? Shout out to King Simon. King Simon was doing the majority of events at that time. So, this was the circuit. The lecture circuit was the circuit. I'm an entrepreneur. I need venues to happen in order for me to sell product. So I'm also participating and promoting, because the more people that are going to come to the event or the more people that I have access to sell product. You feel me? But I also believe in the message. But I also believe in the individual. But I also believe in the mission. But I also believe in the vision. You feel me? So I'm not going against myself. You know what I'm saying? It's in alignment with what it is that I'm doing. Plus, I got a media situation called Know the Ledge, and we're tackling all of the hot topics. We're a platform that's breaking all of the quote unquote hot new teachers, and whatever was going on, it was moving through Know the Ledge initially. You know what I'm saying? So when the complaints got to a different level, and what's a different level? Yeah, now I'm getting beat out of paperwork. Now the paperwork that I'm getting beat out of costs $10K. You feel me? This is what people is coming to us with. Yo, and then based on all of the complaints, right, we able to tally up what it is that we hearing come to us. Mind you, let's put this shit in perspective. This is the same around. All right, so this is around the same time when people start complaining about Umar, who also utilized our platform to jump off his fundraising for the school. Right? Everybody was coming through our platform initially. I'm believing everybody's narrative because the last thing that I'm thinking is that you're going to do something and promote it to be for the community and it not be for the community. I'm not saying that that's what Umar was doing. I'm saying that the complaints started happening at a fever pitch where people were making substantial donations and they weren't receiving any information. And we would bring him on the program and question him and grill him, not like an interrogation, but speak to him brotherly because that's my brother. You know what I'm saying? So this is going on, right? And at the same time, the shit going on with Polite is going on. When we sat down and we tallied up just the cases that we heard, what you call it had his own information in his own envelope. Young Pharaoh, he was keeping tally and documents and, a particular, count on Polite and his scams, because I think this is around the time when Pharaoh was exposed and that he got beat. So when we tallied it up, it was over $500,000. You know what I'm saying? So you factor that in with Umar was going through, right? They was accusing him of stealing or not misappropriating or fundraising without full accountability upwards to $1 million. And then they were saying Polite was beating people out of money that was upwards of $500,000. Right? And when the full tally happened, I believe that the shit, just even with Polite, probably was like 1 point something. You feel me? 1 point something. So we had to do something. We felt that it was just the right thing to do, and it was the right timing. And I knew what I was doing was potentially imploding a relationship, right? Potentially putting ourselves in harm, because this when, homie was running around gang, and everybody was buying into that narrative. And shout out to the homies. I know. You know what I'm saying? I know who the brother was running with and moving around with. And I'm like, I know I ain't got no problem with these brothers. You know what I'm saying? And I know that us saying something about improprieties or an improper way to do business should not lead to a violent response. If this individual cannot deal with this situation like a grown man, then that's exposing a whole nother type of situation. So we put the video out. It came out on May 22nd, 2017. I think that was a Monday, right? And my phone started blowing up in the morning. My phone started blowing up. It wasn't even 11 a.m. You know what I'm saying? And my phone wouldn't stop ringing. And then bro called me a few times, and I finally answered to speak to him because I definitely felt that he deserved a conversation, because the nature of the video was saying, bro, there's too many accusations that are taking place out here in the open. You know what I mean? I'm your brother. We your brothers. We gonna stand by you. You feel me? But you have to make some level of an admission. You gotta own some of this. You gotta step to the plate and say that you want to remedy and make it right. If you're willing to make it right, then we're willing to stand with you as your brothers and not abandon you. You know what I'm saying? But help you rebuild your brand so you can stop destroying your own brand and potentially destroy ours in the process. You feel me? That was the approach. It wasn't like, yeah, nigga, it's on site and we're gonna run. You know what I mean? It wasn't none of that. It was none of that. It was the shit that I had always wanted to see the community do, and that's be responsible. Now there was a mention of a council of elders who came up with, like they was coming up with an indictment based on all of the shit that they was hearing, and it was said that, yo, you gotta, report to this tribunal, and you'll be informed of your charges. A lot of that shit sounded real weird, and I probably wouldn't have went with that either. You know what I'm saying? But this is the way that the elders was moving scary. They still move scary, and I love them. You know what I'm saying? But I also seen them at a very vulnerable space. I seen what they look like when they don't got smoke for a person. When this motherfucker seemed intimidating enough because his bullhorn was louder than the rest of them. And he was exposing people for their economic insecurities. Okay? So the shit go viral. He called me, his feelings was hurt. I told the brother, like I told him on the video, what this was about. You know what I'm saying? That this was not an attempt to besmirch his character or take him down. It was really an olive branch for him to do the right thing so we could neutralize the conversation and move in the right direction and finally bring a level of credibility back to the community, because this nigga was looked at as leadership. Right? And you have to demand more from leadership. This can't be the hustle. This can't be it. And this shit has been going on for far too fucking long in the community, and I'm telling you, the community is felonious when they talk about the shit that should not be happening and what we should do about it. Niggas is fucking poo butts, okay? And they not gonna move on nothing. They not gonna stand on nothing. You feel me? Because they get into this cult of celebrity worship. And no nigga should ever be bigger than the community. You feel me? Nobody is bigger than the community. You know? So, he didn't like the fact that the shit was going viral and he was getting lit up. What I'm attempting to explain to bro is that if I open the door for you, I could also close the door on you. Don't think that you have gotten to this level of celebrity where you're outside of the scope of the people that help initially stitch this shit together for you. Because if I got my hand on a thread, then I can pull that thread out and the shit is going to fall apart. It's going to come apart like seams. Right? He called me and said, I don't like the way that this is going. This is by Tuesday now. I told you the shit released on a Monday. By Tuesday, he was calling me and said, I don't like the way that this is going. Meaning that I'm reading the comments and the shit is not going in my favor. It's outside of it. It's going in a different direction and I can't contain it. So I have to neutralize it. Don't take this personal. This is all business. Right? This is the conversation that we had. Next thing I know, I get a notification Tuesday night. He's going live on Sarnetta's platform. Right? Now, I just give you a little bit of background. In order for Sarnetta to have a YouTube, in June 26, 2009, the day after I leave Epic Records and come back to Harlem, this is the day after Michael Jackson's dead. And now niggas is doing merchandising on 125th, selling MJ merchandise. Merchandise, let's leave it at that. Big business, right? In front of the Apollo, across the street from the Apollo. We was taking home ultimately $3,500 a day, right? It was big business on 125th Street. So I come back to Harlem, and I show my brother how to upload videos to YouTube, and this nigga shows Sarnetta. So I'm vicariously responsible for a platform that is now being utilized as a stage that this individual can embark his comeback. They impanel a panel of niggas. It was like 8 or 9 of these niggas. Everybody on that panel I got history with. So I'm like, damn, this is really an opportunity to see who rides with you and who don't. Mind you, we're standing up in a position, placeholding for the community, and the community's on the panel going against us. It was a wake-up call. You feel me? It was a wake-up call like none other. It was a wake-up call. It was a jolt of a wake-up call. Later on, I was told that panel was orchestrated and manipulated. They put a call out saying that they wanted them to meet up for something else, and then when they got there, they switched topics, right? Allegedly. That's what I was told happened. But nonetheless, the niggas was on the panel. Every last one of them, I'll never forget. Okay? He brings up a counter argument about we should not be the ones to call him out on his business impropriety because my brother got a track record of people not receiving their packages or not receiving their packages on time. Right? So, and this is what, like, the things that I've been explaining about the community and the niggas in the community, and I say that specifically, the niggas in the community, right, is that, and it's a certain branch of niggas in the community, it's a certain branch that come out of a particular house of a certain master teacher. These niggas have become master deflectors, right? And it's a skill set. Master deflection is a whole category and a skill set onto itself. Feel me? That shit is a coveted skill set. Master deflecting is a skill set. These niggas have mastered the skill set of master deflection, right? So you can't even bring a level of responsibility. You can't even bring the responsibility factor up to certain people, individuals, niggers, because they've mastered deflection, right? So we ain't gonna talk about what I'm accused of, right? We're gonna talk about the fact that you can't accuse me of what I'm accused of because you accused of shit as well. That's called master deflection, right? Because we don't ever get to the subject matter. I learned master deflection by dealing with litigation in courtrooms, right? The Morse teacher, you have to answer a question with a question. I've mastered deflection in litigation enough to recognize the shit when I see it in the streets. So I'm like, bro, you a master deflector. You never dealt with the topic. You never dealt with the accusations. You never dealt with the possibility of redress, of healing shit and getting people back whatever it is that you took from them. Right? You turned the tables and made the conversation about us when it was never about us. And that caused a schism in the community. Feel me? That caused a schism in the community. I never considered myself to have beef with Brother Polite. So I never took it in that manner. I had love for Brother Polite then, and I still have a level of love for Brother Polite. To this day, I hurt for Brother Polite. You know what I'm saying? And by me saying that I have love for him is not dismissive of me looking at the things that he goes through to say, damn, I'm appalled by how things turned out. You feel me? You don't have an opinion or energy for anything that you don't have, an emotional feelings for. I met this man in 2007 in his bookstore when there was no community. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, bro, I got recruited by a young lady named Madam Butterfly to go to the bookstore with her because she literally was like, I'm about to go debate this nigga and argue with him. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't let her go out like that. She was in my neighborhood, Crown Heights. I'm like, well, why? Like, why? What did he do? He said some shit that I don't agree with. In so many words, he has a methodology that I don't consider to be intellectually sound. So I'm going to argue with him on those grounds. I'm going to go to his establishment in front of him and his people, and I'm going to debate and argue him. And she was that type of individual, so I got it. But I was like, let me at least go hold you down. And then upon going to the store and holding her down, me and him ends up having this rapport and this back and forth conversation where I'm helping him explain his theories and his concepts better because I know how to flesh it out. I know what he's saying and I know how he's trying to say it. I'm helping him say it better. So I'm like, damn, bro, I think you hella smart. You know what I'm saying? And I like the way that we work together. And I recognize you one of them faces in the crowd. Like, I knew the nigga's face from the streets. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I know you come from the streets. And you in here now doing this other shit. I know that it must be, because at the time, like I said, it really wasn't a community. He belonged to the Nawubian community. And that was a small sect. And this was after Dr. York got taken down. So there was so much controversy. surrounding that community that it wasn't inviting. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, bro, like we built some stages and some platforms. You know, we got something called a conscious community. We be doing lectures and shit. I think that you need to show up to one of these joints so you can see that, you know what I mean? Like we kind of build something that you can probably be a part of with the information that you got. And that was '07, and I would go back and see the brother. He actually was the very first person that made a purchase from me for liquid gold, for colloidal gold. He was the very first one that made a purchase. This was in 2007 or 2008. He said that Dr. York wrote him a letter and told him that he needed to get his hands on some gold. So he went and purchased some. He ran it by me. I had the plug. I went and got some, and he started me off on my journey selling gold. Shout out to Brother Polite. 2009 comes, November 14, 2009. I come back to New York in October from Atlanta, I believe. So this was after the MJ run of 2009. We finished the MJ run. The Michael Jackson run ended after his birthday. So this had to be the end of August, early September. We were making $3,500 a day on 125th selling Michael Jackson merchandise from 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. in front of the Apollo. It was jumping out there, okay? Non-stop traffic. They was buying up all of the memorabilia. Take a few days off. I go to Miami on vacation. I stop in Atlanta. I see KT at the time. He gives me the last ingredient that I need for Seven Heavens sea moss. I come back to Harlem because Red and them had a showcase at the end of October, October 22nd, 2009, on 125th. I show up. I surprise him. On the way there, I do an interview. Abundance Child asked me to hold her down to interview Dr. Sebi because they were bringing him in with a brother named King Simon to Brooklyn in November to do a lecture. This begins my journey on Blog Talk Radio. No, I think that I was on Blog Talk a month prior. I got introduced to Blog Talk through Nikki Love and Brother Ankh, right? Coincidentally enough. So they introduced us to Blog Talk, but by the time I get back up to New York, I'm doing Blog Talk with Abundance Child. We interviewing Dr. Sebi, right? I hadn't spoken to Sebi, so this was '09. I probably hadn't spoken to Sebi since '05 prior to that. So we catch up on the phone. They like, damn, y'all speaking like y'all father and son. I'm like, we are. Like, this is the big homie. You know, we picked up where we left off at. And it sounds so, you know, homely. It sounded so, you know what I'm saying? It fit like a hand in the glove so much that they was like, you know, she wanted me to do more interviews with her. I go down to the lecture, right? It's on my birthday, November 14th, 2009, at St. Anthony's Church on Utica and Eastern Parkway, the first King Simon event in the community, and he has Polite opening up for Dr. Sebi. It's also the first time that I introduced my sea moss drink, Seven Heaven, November 14th, 2009. Right? So now, Polite is in the community, it's on and popping, and he's making his way, you know, to connect his narrative with Sebi. Because Sebi saved him from getting his foot amputated because Polite had diabetes at the time, and his toe turned black. So he was giving Sebi his props about this story, this narrative about, you know, he saved me. And then he was saying, yeah, you know, he's Doc's doctor, meaning Dr. York. He was saying that Sebi was Dr. York, so he was like a notary Nawubian or something like that. And so, like I said, years ago by, not even years ago by, 2010 comes, and me and Red start Know the Ledge Radio on January 8th, 2010. And we did it that day out of honor of Noble Drew Ali. Our first guest on the platform was Raz Mariah Bey, Dr. Phil Valentine, and a few other people stopped by. But our second or our third episode, it was Dr. Sebi. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's just how it went in the community. You know what I'm saying? That was our heavy hitters for the most part. Valentine, Polite, Sabi, right? For the most part, that was like the main lineup. Then Dr. Blair, you know what I'm saying, and other people that was filling in the blanks. So long story short, to give you all of that background information, when we made the video in May of 2017, it was about accountability. It was saying, Polite, you got too much. It's too much noise following you about, business that is unsettled. You taking large sums of money for people, and they not getting their services. This is when paperwork, status correction was big in the community. So niggas was getting hit for 10, 15. Then we started getting the accounts from people saying, yo, I got hit for 50, I got hit for 70. You know what I'm saying? There's an account of a gentleman out there who got hit for 100 and change. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are things that you just cannot allow to go unchecked in the community. And a lot of people did allow it to go unchecked. They like, it's none of my business. I'ma mind my business. If them niggas is loose goose enough to line themselves to get booked like that from a nigga, look, we still in the street. Just because this shit got a veneer on it called consciousness, it don't mean that you still not surrounded by people with mentalities. The rules are still the rules. You feel me? You got to do your background. You got to do your due diligence. Nigga, do a reading. You know what I'm saying? Do a reading on the reading. You feel me? But do not go into shit blind. I don't care what it comes across as, what it looks like. You feel me? Whether they tie this shit up with a bow or not. You feel me? Don't go for none of that. So we got criticized by people on our side, once again, for taking up for people who won't fight for themselves. You know what I mean? Or made bad business decisions. Like, why you gotta wear that? That's somebody's bad business decision. They got booked. They gonna have to wear that. But I'm like, enough is enough. And then the elders was saying, yo, we gotta do something about this. Why don't y'all do something about this? Oh, nah, you do something and we're gonna back you up. We do something about it, the elders run the other way. That's what they did. So this happens in 2017. I already got shit in motion. I'm supposed to be doing a retreat to Mount Shasta in June of 2017, around this time. So I don't hear from Polite. I get the plane, I jump on the plane. So this had to be the beginning of June, right? Because this is when the advertisement started first going out around the city for 444. So I get a text from Polite, and he's like, yo, this nigga trying to run with your wave. And I'm like, who? And he's like, Jay-Z, you seen the 444 shit? So that's the last time we had a conversation. And it was only via text. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, even though me and his brother's going back and forth on this other BS, everybody who caught on to the 444 shit, their first response was like, yo, how's this nigga just blatantly running with your shit like that? And I'm like, well, it's a symbiosis. As much as I talk about Jay-Z's infinity for the number 44, and I've been speaking about it since forever, I'm like, the fact that he moved towards it or gravitated towards that vibration and chose to own it, I was like, shit, that's symbiotic. Like, we gonna share that. Ain't nobody take nothing. So the whole build-up for it and the release happened June 30th, which is today's date, 2017. So 6 years ago today is when that album finally comes out. So to fast forward, this is 2022. This will be last year, February 1st, right? I'm flying from Atlanta to Arizona, right, for the Crystal Convergence Conference. And for the, we do the whole week out there in Tucson with the International Gym Show. So I'm on the plane, right, and I had something happened in Miami about a week or two earlier. I had a magnanimous mushroom trip, and I was calling everybody that I thought I had an issue with, right? To let them know that we really got no issues. Like, this is not beef. It's corny. It ain't real. We got little dust ups. I just ain't want nothing lingering in my energy field that I could perceive that a nigga's walking around thinking he got a problem with me and he's still walking around. We don't have no problem. You feel me? Because I'm going to do everything that I can to neutralize the problem if we really have a problem. So I'm like calling people with these corny ass problems and these corny ass dust ups that we have that's not even considered problems and just squashing that shit. Like, my nigga, we good, man. Trust me. Feel me? And I was trying to get in contact with Polite. And we was playing phone tag, right? Ironically, once again, in 2022, I'm flying into Denver, right? And at Denver Airport, the last time I spoke to him in 2017. Now, this is 2022, so he's going through his shit because his stuff started in 2021. You feel me? His stuff started in 2021, so he's already going through issues. I wanted to speak to him, to explain to him, brother, like, you might have not understood my methodology or our methodology back in 2017, but this is the shit that we was trying to avoid for you. This is the intervention that we were attempting to implement all the way back then when you were going off the rails. You know what I'm saying? This is the shit that we was trying to save you from yourself. And I wanted to tell him that. You know what I mean? So here I go flying into Denver, and I don't even land yet. I get like maybe 500 feet into the air, because that's like when you can start seeing buildings. We're coasting like we're landing, and my messages go off. And it's the brother on the message. You know what I'm saying? Hit my jack, hit my line back when you get this. You feel me? So here I go. I land in Denver. The last time we had a communication was via text, 2017 in June at the Denver airport. I'm back landing in Denver, and I get a text from the brother right before I land. So once I land, I get a brother a call. You know what I'm saying? And we had a good conversation, and I got to express to the brother, what I've always felt and what I needed to express to him, you know what I'm saying? And what I still feel is necessary, and I'll share some of it with you that, this initially, I know that this was a brother, a lovely brother who had insurmountable love for his people, you know what I'm saying, in his heart. When he chose to be in a leadership position in this community, he taught us a lot in this community. He was the first one to have an expansive conversation around financial literacy. He was the one to bring a lot of the techniques and the things that people were speaking about in dark shadows, like status correction, out into the forefront. He demonstrated certain things. He was going on the certain websites are showing you stuff. Bro was doing things that was stand up. You know what I'm saying? He was doing things that was responsible for a leader, for leadership. He was doing things that was worthy of the baton and the torch being passed to him. But then he fucked all of that up. You feel me? And it is what it is. It just is what it is. Yeah, he has a brilliant mind. This brother's a genius. Right? There's people who intellectually, like I said, I revere their methodology and thought process. I'll name you a few. A.A. Rashid, 19 Keys, Rizza Islam, KT the Arts Degree, my younger brother, right? Brother Polite. Right? Even there was glimpses of it I had seen come out of. Now I'm gonna say their names because these niggas is in the dirt. I ain't even gonna unearth these niggas. I ain't even gonna. Asir, right? Even though he mixes truth with fantasy too much, right? But they still have brilliant minds. You feel me? They still have brilliant minds. I embellish sometimes. Just to give shit a poetic flair. I'm not lying. Feel me? I'm not lying. I'm just giving shit extra flair. So, yeah, man, the brother represented so much potential. That's the part that hurt the most. The part that hurt the most is our people needed an example of leadership. This nigga went Hollywood, literally, right? And I brought him to LA first to do a lecture. I brought him out there to do a lecture with Nitiyama, who ended up being another person who was accused internationally of sexual improprieties. This brother Nitiyama, he's a tantric mongoose is what his name was. He was a student of Osho. This brother was responsible. His claim to fame was to make women have multiple orgasms without touching them. He was the truth. We brought him to LA. I've seen him demonstrate, right? He knows how to manipulate the subtle energy, the energy body, the energy fields. And he was making women have multiple orgasms, like up to 100. This nigga was lit, okay? But his main clientele was like Australian, European women. You feel me? So he caught a charge. He's on the run. Interpol looking for the nigga. I don't know what his status is right now. I was speaking about Nitiyama. So I brought Polite out there. And Nitiyama was a member of the New Covenant. So I did the lecture for a favor to Brother Polite. But Brother Polite, he was in Vegas looking for Mayweather at the time. This was before he had even connected with him. This was when he was going around him. And he drove over. They drove over from Vegas to LA. He did the lecture, and then he just ended up staying. You know what I'm saying? He ended up staying in LA, setting up base, followed through and did a lecture with Sabi. You know what I mean? And then he was lit. You know what I mean? But, again, what hurt the most was the potential factor of what this brother could have meant. You know what I mean? To the community, what he could have meant to the overall demonstration of melanated, brilliant minds, what he meant to his generation, what he meant to these young brothers. Because if you would look at it, he becomes the progenitor of a new branch of consciousness. You know what I'm saying? And that branch of consciousness becomes, the YouTube consciousness that you would see, the people whose names are synonymous with YouTube consciousness. All of them brothers kind of came and went. You know what I'm saying? And they all found themselves in some sort of legal peril. And I'm not going to name names because I don't have to. You can name them yourselves. You feel me? But a lot of them came and they went. They came fast and they went fast. You know what I mean? And they were dynamic while they lasted. They were dynamic. But when they burnt out, goddamn, that was one hell of a burnout. It was one hell of a crash out. So this becomes endemic of someone who's setting a pattern and people are following in that pattern. Shout out to the brother Rizza Islam. I heard he beat his charges the other day. You feel me? But, I ain't even gonna say all that. You know what I'm saying? But our generation, the information that we were attempting to bring is that to keep you out of the courtroom, to make you non-detainable, to make you invincible from the law or from the legal apparatus, if you will, by you standing on law. Those are the things that we were attempting to teach my generation when we came in with the information, right? How to show you how to, hand back to the man what is his. Niggas was showing you how to not pay this and not pay that and not be part of their system. You feel me? Oh, shout out to Sarah Seti. Like I said, we ain't gonna name names, and Sarah Seti didn't come after Polite. They attribute Polite with introducing Seti. Seti came through us as a platform as well. Maybe in 010 or 011, Red Pill introduced Seti to Sa Neter and Sarnetta introduced SETI to the world. So SETI didn't come through Polite. Yeah. And you know, when SETI went through whatever he went through with Pharaoh, you know, that kind of transformed his his platform and his reach and the allegiance that your audience has to you, you know, the responsibility that you feel that they might have to you to hold you down, especially if this is the audience that grew up with you. So, you know, when we see what we see, and I'm saying all this to say, again, this comes full circle because here we are, it's the 6th anniversary of 444. The connection, and then Polite is going through what Polite is going through, right? And that's, and I, you know, and I was explaining to bro, I'm like, look, we Scorpios, and you got hit by twin stingers. This shit literally took approximately 4.4 years to set in. Wait, hold on. I wasn't gonna share this, but if you do the math, because I was like, son, don't fuck with me. If you do the math, it was exactly 4.4 years, and then the case log number was 44. But that's neither here nor there because, like I said, I ain't supposed to be talking like this. 4.4, like to the dot. 4 years and 4 months. You know what I'm saying? Oh, how the mighty have fallen. And then look up the case number. I mean, but I ain't do it. He did it to himself. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. It's, and I don't receive no gratification out of it. As powerful as a brother, as powerful as a mind that young brother possessed. You know what I'm saying? I just be thinking about where the community could have went. I just be thinking about where his brand could have went. I just be thinking about where consciousness as a brand could have went. You feel me? I be thinking about where the responsible conversation around polygamy could have went. Family as business could have went. You know what I'm saying? So now, I get to go on tour with Keys. I get to go around the world with the Shifters. You know what I'm saying? I get to do things with family and really get an observation about how things could have been different. I get to see individuals and other individual spots doing with that light what was supposed to be done. Pun intended, right? I get to see that. So all hope is not lost. You feel me? Because I'm not polite. You know what I'm saying? What he did, he was very well at. And he was very unique in the way that what he brought to the game and how he brought it to the game. And you feel me? What he gave back to the game, it was very unique. It was very much in line with the times. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. Raz said niggas debated themselves into obscurity. The audience wasn't loyal and wasn't solid. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's like at the end of the day, what was the business model and what was the perspective? You know, what is your 10-year, 5-year, 2 and 3 year projection? Where are you taking this? Niggas are still debating on certain channels. You feel me? They still doing debates around the Bible. Shit like that. They got surpassed by the woke marketplace, which was valuated at $4.4 billion back in 2018 by Forbes magazine. Right? Feel me? 2018, $4.4 billion. Woke marketplace. There was no woke marketplace until Polite, Umar, Nuri Muhammad, Wesley, and them was on Breakfast Club. Because we can track and trace the advent of woke. Some people say that it shit started on June 30th, 2017 with the release of 444. Some people say that the whole woke shit started with 444. And when a mainstream artist such as Jay-Z decides to come down from the commercial capital, the mountain of capitalism, and tap into introspection, tap into spirituality, tap into what's considered to be woke talking points. You feel me? Yeah, okay, we could say the advent of what Hidden Colors and Breakfast Club together become the vehicles, you feel me, which kind of like bring about filtered consciousness. Woke is filtered consciousness, right? Hidden Colors was filtered consciousness, right? And let's put woke on the spectrum. It registered very high on the spectrum that's closest to consciousness. It was dangerous enough to be dangerous, but it was also safe enough to be safe, right? Consciousness, by definition, has to be dangerous. It ain't conscious if it's safe. No, it was a combination, because Breakfast Club and Hidden Colors was circulating these teachers with the talking points. Dr. Claude, Boyce, Kaba, Phil, right? These was the intellectuals for the most part. You're right. Magna Carta, Holy Grail was 444 Part 1. This is, look, and I'll let the cat out the bag. The war, and this is what we were saying this in '01. Shout out to Black Dot. So the conversation has not morphed to fit the times. When me and Black Dot was writing for Four Corners newspaper, we were saying in '01, did Nas wanted to become materialistic? He wanted to dabble, right, in what Jigga Man was doing, and Jigga Man wanted to do what Nas was doing. He wanted to be the street disciple. He wanted to be, quote unquote, embraced by not necessarily the backpackers, but the introspective spiritual cast of rap, right? He wanted to own that narrative on the streets where he's crossing over the dope boy narrative into something that's more introspective and mesh with spirituality. Like we could say Pusha T does, right? Nobody does it better than him. Nobody does that better than him. Crossing the narrative of coke rap into introspective spirituality. Nobody does that like Pusha T. That's what Jay-Z wanted from the very beginning. They were fighting to have a trade-off. Jay wanted Nas' spot, Nas wanted Jay's spot. They have, in the weirdest of ways, found a way to exchange that. Now that Nas has found Hit Boy, now he gets to live out rapping like he's a D-boy, right? From the 80s and the 90s on them beats. And then Jigga Man gets to be the introspective deep rapper. Feel me? Yeah, so this is my narrative on the number 444, or the album 444, and the 60th anniversary, and how things come full circle, you know what I'm saying? And just observations into these movements and these waves, you feel me? And I can look back and be like, I've been part of every single one of them, but that ain't even an observation. I'm definitely not in my ego with this one. It's more me standing outside of myself, just looking at these things and observing them, because I see a connection to everything. Like everything is connected. Everything is connected. All of these narratives is connected right now. You feel me? I went all the way in on affirmative action and that connection yesterday. I want to continue that connection with the student loan getting swapped off by the because the student loan the motherfucking Supreme Court just did a full 3 card Monty. The student loan shit is connected to the affirmative action shit is connected to the motherfucking LGBT shit. Feel me? Yeah, it's everything is connected. There's a lot going on, and all of it, all of it meshes and it gels together if you know how to pack it. So, yeah, these some interesting times. Shut that shit up. Come on, son. Yeah. All of this stuff is connected, you know what I'm saying, beautifully. When we can find these connections, they beautiful. Yeah, they smashed on everything. You know what I mean? They spun mad blocks. You feel me? It was a wet t-shirt contest. They bodied mad shit. They got mad people lying on the sidewalks. You feel me? This shit crazy. This shit crazy. You know what I mean? So, I ain't even gonna mention that. I ain't even gonna mention certain shit that's not even worth mentioning. It's like you only get half a ball. Fuck y'all niggas on some Jigga Man takeover shit. There's certain niggas that can't even get a whole ball in this conversation because they haven't deserved it. It's like, you nigga, for real? Sit your ass down. Dirty, dusty nigga. Like, you get half a bar and a fucking bar. You get a bar of soap, nigga. You don't get no bars. You get a bar of soap, dirty nigga. Go sit down somewhere. People is attempting to force themselves into the conversation to get a mention so they could take this motherfucking clip and try to make it viral. Go sit your ass down. Go sit in a vat of soap, nigga. A vat of soap. Yeah. Bury yourself in some motherfucking powdered CBD soap somewhere, nigga. Fuck out of here. Yeah, you niggas, I'm not even gonna mention you. I'm gonna just present you niggas with a bar of soap or show me with my white gloves touching you niggas and coming back with my gloves purely black. Yeah, them niggas. I can't even touch you niggas with my white gloves. Dirty ass niggas. Yeah, man. For real. But look, don't misconstrue this. Don't take this shit in and get it out of control. What did I say? I got love for that brother. I got love for his family. That's not dismissive of anything that he's been accused of, whether he did the shit or not. That's not dismissive of things that was brought up about him in the past that he's been accused of that he's not answered to. That's not dismissive of any of those things. That's saying that I have the capacity. I have 4 valves in my heart. You know what I'm saying? I could hold space for somebody in one of them shits and don't fuck with you in the other 3 valves of my heart. Nigga, I ain't said that I wholeheartedly fuck with the nigga. Right? I said that I still got love, though. Because I'm not a hater. Feel me? Not a hater. And and again, when I see what I see, I'm not gleeful. It hurts. I have hurt for the victims, right? I have hurt for the people that are still under the fucking spell of these niggas out here, right? And I'm also paying for, the trauma that I see that these individuals, they become so brilliant, so evil in their genius, You know what I'm saying? That these things have now become coping mechanisms. You know, the way that they have marketed and packaged their trauma and got other people to buy into it has become their coping mechanisms. You feel me? Yeah, agreed. It's crazy. But that's the thing. None of these people are short of batshit crazy. Right? None of these people are short of batshit crazy. So there's so many people who we are enamored with their level of genius that niggas, it'd be crazy. They be crazy too at the same time. Niggas be full-blown narcissists. You feel me? I mean, God is a narcissist, so that doesn't say much. Like, you really can't shame a nigga for being a narcissist. Like, who's more of a narcissist than God? Peace, Fanny. So that, yeah, you can't come at a nigga with that. You're a fucking narcissist. Nigga, so is God. Peace. So is Jesus, nigga. He's a fucking narcissist. But, Red said, fuck that nigga. Yeah, I know. You know what I'm saying? But, oh, man. Yeah, I be feeling for the people. The people are slow. And it's the shit that I was warned about in the beginning. They like, nigga, you out here caping for motherfuckers this slow. Like, these niggas not from the street. Like, you don't have no relations to them. Well, why are you interceding and intercessing with people that are not from your ilk? Because anybody that's from where I'm from can see through this shit. Anybody that's from where I'm from could see this shit a mile away for what it is. I was in denial, right? That was called plausible deniability. I just ain't want to believe it. But when I could no longer deny it, when it became a situation where it was just, it really had to be dealt with, and it became my business, then we dealt with it. Feel me? And I'm still standing by that decision to this day. Thank you, Brother Red. He's on here. Thank you, Brother Rich. If he hears this, you know what I'm saying? I'm glad that we stood by that decision, that we went against the community. Where are they now? We could pull up that panel and look and see where every last one of those individuals were. And again, this is not being vindictive. This is like when the call went out, when the time was really right for you to show up and to stand on the side of truth, you niggas retreated. You know what I'm saying? You retreated for some views or for cronyism, you know, to be part of somebody's club. You know what I'm saying? And the club is underwater, so where are you at? And that just goes to show you. That just goes to show you. And we not even, this ain't even the elders running on some whole shit. This is them niggas who aligned themselves with the falsehoods. You feel me? These are them niggas that I was telling Red all along. I'm like, ain't none of these niggas your friends. Please don't believe the hype. So yeah, this shit, it helped me because I was fighting to get my brother back, you know, all along and shit, and this really helped. So I ain't even mad. At the end of the day, I really benefited. I was able to shake so much unnecessary extra weight off. You know what I mean? And finally, Red was able to smell the coffee. I was able to get my brother back. So sometimes y'all gotta take risks. Sometimes you gotta put it all on the line. You know what I'm saying? But if you stand on truth firmly, you know what I'm saying, then, you know, victory shall always be yours. It don't matter if it take you 4.4 years or 8 years or 10 years. Like, truth don't have no expiration date. You know what I'm saying? being solid is being solid. Like, that shit don't, you could be as solid as, the Big Macs, them shits last for 25 years, right? Be solid as a Big Mac. Nah, but stand on your shit. Stand on principles. All right, so 444, 6 years. Did that album age well or not? Because look at all of the financial advice. Look at the fact that, once again, we could look at that album and say, well, this conversation started the whole wave of financial literacy. Before I heard about it, EYL, I heard about Ash Cash, right? Because Ash Cash wrote a book based on the tenets, on the commandments of 444. So Ash Cash was my first introduction that there was melanated people in our community from our demographic that was speaking about financial literacy. That was Ash Cash. And then once I seen Ash Cash kick the door open, then mad other people started talking about financial literacy. So 444 to me was the album that sparked woke capitalism, right, in a conversation around financial literacy, right? Because I consider EYL and those platforms part of the woke marketplace, and that's not taking a shot. That's not taking a shot, right? Again, woke capitalism to me is safe, is consciousness that is not extreme. It's safe consciousness. It's uncensored, or it's filtered consciousness. That's the word that I'm looking for. Right? So 444, today we step back and we look at this conversation that's taking place around Diddy. And I hope Red is on here, because I caught one of Red's lives right after Diddy was speaking about Diego, right? The conglomerate company that's behind Ciroc and DeLeon, right? And Red was going in a way in which I hadn't heard too many people go in, right? Making the ties and the connections and things of that nature, right? So, and I'm listening to all of that, right? And I'm catching with the baby mother saying, with Misa saying about, and I'm coming off the tour, and my mama said, y'all went out there and did something that she's never seen been done. And she's like, y'all was selling out, venues selling life. She was like, y'all was on the road pushing life. This is talking about the high level tour. And I was thinking about the high level tour and how every venue that we went to was selling alcohol. This was based on the theater. This is not based on the at request for the performer. Like, Keys wasn't responsible for the fact that there was alcohol served. Once you get into business with these theaters, right, and these venues, they sell liquor at all of their venues. It's non-optional, right? And I was just thinking about that. And I'm like, damn, if the question was ever like liquor versus liberation for our people, I don't think our people would choose liberation over liquor, right? Liquor has a very strong hold on our people. I was moving through through New Orleans. My time in New Orleans, had me writing poems after poems. You feel me? About what I was witnessing with our people. I didn't know that we were that far into the bottle. I didn't know that. Yeah, so the venues, but look, the venues charge you to use the venue, so it's not door money. They already made their money on the back end because they charged you to use the venue. Then the venues is taking 20% off of merch, okay? So all of that motherfucking gold that I was selling, I'm having to give percentage at every venue stop to the venues. And then they selling alcohol, right? And they selling a lot of it. So I'm thinking about this. It's on my mind. And then Misa said what she said. Like, y'all niggas is how old and been in the industry for how long, and you still have not found anything productive to sell to our people, right? The niggas that's standing on bees in our community, amongst our quote unquote ilk, right? Or people who sold one poison in exchange to sell another poison, or to sell an album full of glorifying the poisons that was already sold, just to set themselves up to sell $1 billion worth of new poison. So everybody have their different feelings about how they gravitate around alcohol and what liquor and distilled spirits means to them, right? Everybody got their different opinions based on whatever, right? Yeah, but that the alcohol shit is powerful. It's beyond powerful. And the fact that the richest nigga in the world, Bernard Arnault, got his fortune from designer drip and Moet and Hennessy, you know, and then the conversations that Dapper Dan is having around the intersection of fashion and hip hop after 50 years making a critical analysis about how important it is to have a leg or a say in the fashion industry, and the fact that you cannot have that without certain factors being perfectly put in place, right? He was making these observations about where we're taking L's at as a community. And it was definitely around our inability to control or to have any power when it comes to fashion, although we drive fashion, right? And then fast forward to the liquor and to the spirits and to the things that, you know, they already come packaged in. They're tethered to the music. So you hear music, you automatically, the music is programming you about what to drink, when to drink, and how to drink it. It's giving you all of your social cues about, yeah, we on this today, we ain't on that no more, right? Niggas don't pop Chris no more. You know what I'm saying? They trying to buy, chipping in all of their coins to buy some Ace, right? Or if you can't afford it, shout out to, I heard Black Dot speaking on this, you get you some Bel Air. Get you some Bel Air, right? So, thinking about the stronghold that, you know, that the alcohol plays in the culture, in the genre, all the way from 40 ounces and St. Ives all the way up until now, where it's top shelf shit. You feel me? And, you know, we don't have no ownership. We don't have no ownership. Maybe outside of what Jay-Z is doing, the moves and the maneuvering that he's doing, it worked for him, right? When he went after the Bacardi company to get a better steak and Douce, right? They blessed them, right? Jay-Z has been known to be very cunning in business, right? He has, you know, he moves like a shark in boardrooms. He knows how to close deals. We can look at him and see that he has a track record for being a, what's the word that I'm looking for? It's not cunning so much because that sounds very deceitful. Shrewd businessman, right? He's been able to get what it is that he wants out of these situations and these deals. He seems to understand business to a degree in which we could say, well, what have we ever seen from Puff that says that he understands business? Yeah, you could get around a whole bunch of money. You feel me? But what have we seen from him that denotes that he's one hell of a businessman? You know what I mean? We haven't really seen that. So he tried the same shit with this company and he fell on his face because they got rid of him. You feel me? And I don't think that they said that they discontinuing, right? I don't recall them saying that they are going to discontinue the brand altogether, right? I just read it. They said that they getting rid of this nigga. So it's like you attempted to put the squeeze on them, and they squeezed you out. And then nobody's speaking on this to compound the whole situation. Like, the motherfucking president of the company kicked the bucket a few days after the lawsuit. I don't know if that was enough for them. That they's like, this nigga's coming with that bad boy energy and people is just starting to die around us. But the CEO of DeLeon died on June 7th, I think it was. And the lawsuit was filed on May 31st or June 1st. That's a little too close, man. Like, these niggas, they had their feelings caught up in this shit. They must have came from the funeral. It was like, not only did this nigga not come to the funeral, but he was throwing jabs, putting unnecessary stress on the CEO. Hell no. We not funking with you. Yeah, so they not funking with him. They got rid of him. Let me see, is this shit here? Yeah, June 7th. Right? He died on June 7th in London. Complications from surgery for a stomach ulcer. Right? A stomach ulcer. So you know the stomach ulcer comes from stress. You know the stomach ulcers come from stress. And you also know, if you know anything about spirituality, nigga, you know that that's where the spells, when they hit you with the juju, nigga, you feel me? That's where it shows up at. That's where it shows up. In the gut. Yeah. So, we could see that, yeah, he filed his lawsuit in the beginning of June, and the CEO dies a few days later. For them to turn around and get rid of this nigga. Right? And I don't know what he's going to do for himself. Because again, he does not come across as the most astute businessman. Just that was never really his thing. Supreme Court ruled the businesses can refuse services to LGBTQ plus customers. They cleaned house this week. And it says a lot of things. But the main thing that it's going to galvanize, the Negro mind is going to feel and take it so personal that niggas is going to stand outside to get ready to vote now. And the motherfucking election ain't in for 2 years. And niggas is getting on the bus right now to go outside to stand to vote. And the election ain't but 2 years away. That's how they're going to galvanize the Negro mind. They're going to take all of this shit personal. They're going to take the hits for the LGBT community. They're going to take the hits for the affirmative action community. They're going to take the hits for the student loan community. They're going to take all of this shit personal. And this is going to be the clarion call, right? That we got to get a Democratic president in office. How is that going to change the Supreme Court? They have 9 justices that are irreplaceable until them niggas die. So once again, unless your juju superior to theirs, you feel me? Oh, we got to elect a Democratic president to sit and wait for when one of these niggas dies so he can attempt to start stacking the court back up. It's going to take you to push at least 3 justices out for you to sway the courts. Feel me? And if the Democrats wasn't so dirty to begin with, then they wouldn't have got bumped and edged out by Donald Trump in 2016 for him to implement, right, an agenda that has been in place for 30 to 40 years to reverse these policies. So how did the Republicans lose if they still got the candidate in office and that candidate was in the precarious positions to put in place certain justices? I think 2 or 3 slots came open during Trump's presidency, and he was stacking the courts, right, from top to bottom, state to federal. Hence the fact that his own judge in his case is a Trump-appointed judge. Just pro-Trump. That's when you know that you're going to stack the courts. Right? So because we don't understand politics, because we're not aiming for the right thing, because it's never been a campaign. They've never dangled that carrot in front of our people as a campaign slogan or a campaign promise that if you elect this politician is going to be responsible for swaying, you know what I'm saying, the stack up of the Supreme Court by putting in progressive justices as opposed to conservative ones. Nobody ever came around to you and spoke to you about doing that. Yes, that's chess. That's how you play chess. Nobody spoke to you about chess. Nobody spoke to you about the long game. Nobody said, shit, we might need a motherfucking 3-term candidate on our ticket, meaning, yeah, we got to put this nigga in at least 3 times to make sure that they're around when X, Y, and Z open. How come these were the Republican talking points, even though they said that they didn't want Trump? The minute that he got in, they were speaking about having the leverage necessary to reverse Roe versus Wade and affirmative action all the way back then. Nigga, I've been hearing them speaking about reversing affirmative action since the 80s. What are you talking about? Since the 80s, they've been talking about doing this. Since I have been alive, they've been speaking about Roe versus Wade. This has always been their agenda. You feel me? Always been their agenda. They will not rest easy until they sack all of the progression, right, that was meted out in the mid-60s when LBJ for that matter, introduced the Great Society, you know what I'm saying, legislation, and created all of these social services for melanated people in particular. Right? They have worked arduously to undo all of the Medicaid, Medicare, welfare, any social services that came out of Great Society. They have arduously fought since the 60s to undo it, and they have not deviated. That's how focused they've been. What has been our agenda that we can speak to and speak of? Right? What agenda can we speak of that we've been consistent with post the 60s, 70s, or the 80s? Right? We can't speak of any. We lost the war. And the war that we lost was internal, and it was amongst ourselves. And now we're boo-hooing and crying because the results of the war were not in our favor. And that's when we made the exception the rule. And the exception at that time was the hustler, was the nigga, you know what I'm saying? The baby daddy. All of the shit that we complaining about today that we say that we don't need, or the things that we elected as a community to be at the forefront as the representatives of our community. Now we want to complain about the image. Now we want to complain about what it don't look like or what it ain't hitting for. Right? But this is the shit that we supported. These are the things that we championed. You feel me? These are the albums that we bought. Yeah, and the next thing they're gonna go ham on is the LGBT marriage, right? They undoing all of Obama's policies, right? Look, yeah, matter of fact, this is all about Obama. Obama is affected by the affirmative action, right? As a Harvard student, as the leader of the Harvard Law Review, right? We could say that affirmative action might be responsible for some of the plays he bust. Student loans, that was a conversation that he started, that the whole Biden finished off, right? The LGBT shit, right? That was where he started. He started this campaign. He started this revolution. Rainbow Revolution was started by Obama. So this is still the Republicans, whether they don't fuck with Trump or not. right? They have treated Obama like Akhenaten. They have scrubbed the walls and the halls of any evidence that he was there. All of his legislation from Obamacare tackled it. LGBT shit, they're about to dismantle that on a legal lawful, on that plane, right? Affirmative action, out of here, right? So yeah, this is about them continuously wanting to put the 44 back in the box. You know what I mean? And scrub it and replace it. And the fact that they got, you need to familiarize yourself with a term called cronyism. This is what cronyism looks like. What happens when you catch a nigga, you corner him, and you got receipts. This was happening with Clarence Thomas. They already had him where they wanted him. Now they get to put the squeeze on him for real. Just in case you thought about utilizing your own mind, my nigga. Right? We got mad receipts on you. You out of order. You feel me? You gonna have to pay the piper. Yeah, where do I sign off at? Right? You locked in for life. So they get to skew this nigga on a Barbie from now until Lord knows when. Because they got receipts on him that he was receiving illegal funding, right, from private donors. So the fix is in and the squeeze is on. And that's the fragility of having your life in somebody else's hand. I'm speaking about Clarence Thomas, and I'm speaking about all the citizens of these great United States, okay? As we embark on this alleged anniversary of our independence, just like niggas could not celebrate Juneteenth comfortably this year, if you a U.S. citizen, nigga, you can't celebrate either. Because you're not independent. You're not free. You out here playing their games. Feel me? You out here playing their game. You not freed up. These people got you in a compromising position, my nigga. They got you in a compromising position. Feel me? And they coming with Fed now. So it's like, yeah, what if you are a concerned citizen, what the fuck, what do you do in these days and times? Because these people is moving forward with a level of aggression that they clearly don't care how niggas think and feel no more. Right? That's the last thing that they're concerned with. You can obviously see that. You can obviously see that. That the least that they're concerned with is how niggas feel at this point. Or whether you can put this shit together for yourselves or not. They're like, we're moving forward. Whoever gets it, gets it. Whoever don't, go to TikTok. They like, go to TikTok while the shit is still accessible. And get you a clue. Get you an idea of what's taking place while we focus on, the place taking. That's what's taking place. Place taking. You feel me? So, once again, we find ourselves right back where we started. You know what I mean? Yeah. We found ourselves right back where we started. And shit, I guess you got to go back and listen to 444. Listen to it again. You know what I'm saying? We need a 444.4 to update the people on, what is the financial literacy 2.0 conversation sound like right now? That shit sounds like, making sure that your status is a particular way. It's making sure that you got access to certain DeFi protocols, that you understand blockchain, that you know how to secure funds and move them. You know what I'm saying? It's the 2.0 conversation needs to be had, because the shit that Jay dropped in 2017 was good for everything that was pre-2020, post-2020. It's a new world. You know what I mean? if they're willing to lose the dollars, I'm sure that they have accounted literally for not losing the dollars. They're making this is a transfer of wealth. They're transferring one asset class to another, and not that Federal Reserves were ever necessarily, they were an illusionary asset class. They held up as long as the people participated in the illusion, right? So we are dealing with an insurmountable illusion of inclusion around the board that's just taking place, right? It's just hitting everybody at once. The illusion of inclusion. He's going through it. You feel me? Melanated people is going through it. Democrats is going through it. Citizens of this country is going through it. Everybody has the illusion of inclusion right now. Right? Everybody got the illusion of inclusion. You think that you're part of something that don't even exist. And you're willing to risk your life and give blood, sweat, and tears to be part of something that don't even exist. It's like what the streets is going through right now. And niggas is finding out, attempting to drop their flag. Yeah, these Ivy League schools are opening up to students from around the globe. Yeah, it's global. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is constricted to its borders anymore. Harvard is not going to have any time filling up those seats when they're pulling from an intellectual pool that's global, right? We're not raising children to go to Harvard right now. Those are not goals. That's not something that's taking place in our community. You know what I'm saying? We're not prioritizing that as conversations around the kitchen table. So, once again, we're going to be crying and complaining to be fighting for something that we're not even putting the fight up for. You can't be like affirmative action, Harvard recruits, and Pound Town in the same voice. Hold on. You want to get in this conversation at this point? Oh, I thought so. Huh? I said Pound Town. I don't know if you want to come and start defending that shit. Pull a chair up. My wife, she always has an amazing perspective on things. I don't know if she want to get in contact. You don't want none of this in this combo? I mean, what happened? Huh? I ain't trying to play. Never that. Yeah. Forget Harvard. I mean, that's cool. That's cool. Again, it seems to me that they like, nigga, there'll never be another Obama. Whatever steps that he took to get to where he got to, make sure that we destroy all of them steps. You know what I'm saying? Let's make sure that we burn all of them bridges and destroy all of those steps. So yeah, it could probably be fuck Harvard now, but if you needed access to it, I think that you guys are gonna raise children that can get anywhere that they need to get to on their own merits. You know what I'm saying? Nigga, they got AI out now. Who needs affirmative action? How about that? Nigga, with AI, who needs affirmative action? Right? With AI, who needs AA? If you can't manage to get your grades and your scores up to a degree where you got a 4.0, nigga, and all answers are accessible, then you're not going to graduate from the school of life because you have not figured out how to facilitate the tools that are at your disposal, my nigga. All you niggas should be having 4.0 pluses, right? So any school that your children want to get into, they could get into that shit right now. The AI can make it happen. Feel me? All of that shit is it's a sham anyway. They tell you before AI was popping, They had the admission scandals, right? Where they're sending around the answers and the sheets to all of these students that are part of particular economic financial caste systems, and their children get right to that. They get right to them schools and they be dumb as a brick. They be dumb as a brick. This shit is just about retaining enough information to answer a questionnaire, right? To get a particular score and get an assessment so you can get an accreditation at the end of the day. Man, ain't none of this shit honest. It's all a hustle. Yeah. You get a higher education for half the price, nigga. Right? Come sign up. We're gonna send you to Harvard, nigga. Harvard. Yeah. Using Google Bart and ChatGPT, we're gonna get you to Harvard. And then you spend the block on them so-called brainiac niggas. You feel me? And you could body anybody in debate. We're going to get you an intellectual BBL. Yeah, you're going to get a BBL for your brain. Nigga, Neuralink is coming out. Who need Harvard? Who need Harvard? Save your tuition money and buy you a motherfucking Neuralink with a Vision Quest. And we could take these children to virtual school and run circles around anything that they motherfucking teaching in Harvard that these babies is not going to be able to utilize in the DeFi protocol world that we're moving into in this new money matrix, nigga. All that information that they're going to be teaching in them schools is going to be obsolete anyway. Stop fighting for the wrong things. Yeah. Fuck yeah. We're going to send them niggas to Kale University. Show them how to make a Punani rap. You could franchise that shit anywhere in the world. Technically, you could bring that technique with you anywhere in the world and whip it up, nigga, and you'll be able to feed the village with Punani raps. Are you serious? Kale University? Come on now. Yeah. There's a whole new educational format on the rise, man. Them fucking 8 Ivy League schools is not where it's at. Y'all was just trying to recruit these niggas to go to HSBCUs. And now you trying to get them into Harvard and Yale? Come on, son. You gotta have your priorities right. You feel me? Are we attempting to save black colleges from bankruptcy and getting their doors closed? Are we attempting to help Umar open his shit up? Or we want to send children to Yale to get in Skull and Bones? Because if you thought a crack rapper with a contract was dangerous to the community, right? Once again, imagine what these evil geniuses gonna be hitting for with all that melanin is popping, and you niggas be open armed for anybody that comes across with any glimmer of information. You can be like, come right on in. And niggas be they be Obamas on their Dark Hermit shit all along. Yeah, so I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't, we gotta be strategic about these fights that we pick. We gotta be real strategic about these fights that we picking. Making sure it's worth our time. Yeah, HBCU, they budgets should be, you know what I'm saying? They should be on their A job, recruiting these niggas. Like, if Harvard won't take you. But look, they beat up on the affirmative action shit first because the white boys was taking the HBCUs to court and they got white boys in Howard now. They got Latinas up in HBCUs. They got Asians up in HBCUs. They done kicked a hole in all of that shit because they done figured out, right, the technicalities based on the wording, the verbiage, the word minorities is so ambiguous that it even applies to white women. My nigga, it's a scam, it's a hustle. You have to learn legalese in this country in order to compete. Let me do this again. Once again, shout out to Red. Right? I seen you post this and shit. And I wanted to speak about, Delaware allowing corporations to vote as citizens. I never got around to it. You know what I'm saying? But I did see the clip of the Europeans speaking on what he was talking about, black law dictionary. And all of these are integral pieces of the conversation. The community fought it for so long, and now we're here. But you can't, you're still in denial. You're still gonna ignore this pedigree of information.
The thing to have is a Black's Law dictionary. It's about this thick. This is the dictionary that the lawyers use, and it has legal definitions of words in it. And when you use it to look up words, you find out really interesting stuff. Person, the word person. The definition of person is a corporate fiction. Black's Law also tells us that the only person known to Canadian law is the corporation. And that's interesting. Human is another interesting word. It appears nowhere in the Bible, but you look up the definition of human in Black's Law, and it says sea monster. And so you flip to monster, and you look up the definition for monster, and it says one that cannot own or inherit property. Now, all governments have human resource departments, and all corporations have human resource departments. Isn't that interesting? Job is another thing to have is a Black's Law dictionary. It's about this thick. This is the dictionary that
and then, once again, niggas want you to sit there and argue with them. Or debate, right? What is there to debate? What is there to argue? We should all be concerned enough to have a conversation around new information enough that it makes you want to sit up to be like, wait, what the fuck? Wait, what? What did I just hear? So how does that apply to this? How does that apply to that? Oh, okay, so that's what's going on. I have a better understanding. So I'm better able to navigate once I know the rules and the terrain, the rules of the game, and the layout of the terrain. You got to know the board in order to move around it. You got to know the rules of engagement in order to engage. You over here playing a whole different game. You playing checkers. And chess is being played. Feel me? You really playing checkers, and checkers being played. And all of the information is available and accessible. And our people chose to beat us up rather than, a receiver was attempt to being given with open hands. And we find ourselves in these situations, and it'd be like, I hate to be the told you so. It's like, told you so. Told you so. It's not what you think it is. You're not who you think you are. Feel me? It's not what you think it is, and you're not who you think you are. Bottom line, my nigga. You finna get a reality check. And don't blame me. This ain't my work. I ain't do this to you. I ain't do this to you. Said we have a dopamine problem. Feel me? We are too interested with dopamine hits, which bottle out as sensationalism. Our people are some fools for entertainment, for sensationalism. You know what I mean? They want the lie. They want to be entertained by the lie. You know what I'm saying? They get off via the lie. You feel me? But if the truth is stale, if the truth is boring, if the truth ain't exciting, people don't want it, it's not enough fireworks. You know what I'm saying? But it always wins out. It always wins out. You know what I'm saying? The truth, even if it stands on alone, even if it's in the corner, even if it's holding the wall up, my nigga. Even if it show up to the club with motherfucking socks and penny loafers on, god damn it. Still that nigga. Feel me? We should not abandon truth. You know? So yeah, there's so many lasting ramifications about where this conversation could be taken. You know, so many lasting ramifications about where this conversation could potentially be taken. Further discussions around the 14th Amendment needs to be had. A further discussion around the 13th Amendment needs to be had. A further discussions around the Constitution needs to be had as it pertains to our people. We need to revisit these conversations, dust off some of these old lectures, bring master teachers back to the forefront, and the people need to ask educated questions so they can get a clear, decisive understanding as to what the chessboard looks like, what piece on the chessboard are they, right? And how can they advance themselves on the board to ultimately win whatever they gather winning looks like, because a win ain't the same for everybody, right? A win is a win is a win. That's not the same. It's not the truth for everybody, baby. Roll up. Right? It's not the truth for everybody. So what does a win look like for you? Feel me? Okay. Nah. These are internal conversations that we all need to have, so when we do come to the table, we can have a blowout conversation and demand answers. Command answers, not demand them. I don't want you to be leaning on none of these teachers like they owe you something. But I want you to be forthright to get this, pull this information up out of these people. If you really, really need it, you got something that's mine that I need, let me have that. Pause. Feel me? Let me have that information, because it's mad shit going on. Mad shit going on. And you're going to be lost without the info. You're going to be fucking lost. You're going to be lost in the sauce if you can't you don't have, discernment. If you don't have discretion. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get tricky out here. It's going to get tricky out here. Physicists have detected the background hum of the universe. It's official. There's something out there shaking the stars in a way that can no longer be ascribed to chance. Several teams around the world have independently found a signal in the timing of flashing stars called pulsars that points to giant, long wave-lived gravitational waves rolling throughout the galaxy. It's not quite a detection of those gravitational waves yet, but there is more than a 99% chance that what we're looking at is something significant. Right? Yeah, it's anytime that you want to phase conjugate something, like think about a dandelion, right? I think that this can best describe this in the most descriptive way, right? Is the family familiar with dandelions? Dandelions are those plants, those flowers that are very delicate. If you blow it, all of the petals come off, right? That's a dandelion. We normally find them on the side of the road, right? So what the concept of what I'm speaking about of phase conjugation is that your frequency has to match another frequency to it. It has to match it, and it has to ultimately outmatch it, so the superior wave is going to take over the inferior one. Think about an ocean. You know what I'm saying? That stronger wave or that current comes, and then it makes the weaker wave acquiesce to it. You know what I'm saying? That's phase conjugation. So in order to reset something galactically, vibrationally, you have to change the way that the waves are coming through, the gravitational waves. And I don't like using that word because Valentine did a lecture this past week and it was 10 hours and he beat the fuck up on gravity. So I don't even know what that shit is. I don't even know what that is anymore. Right? But these words and these concepts that we use, right? Phase conjugation, you know, there has to be a stronger, more powerful force to phase out the weaker, more inferior force, the lower energy, the weaker force. Like that music that's taking place right now, something is going to come like a wave and it's going to wash that shit up. And that's the way that the wave, the music wave, the sound waves of music repetitively repeat themselves, and they're responsible enough to the populace that we're begging for it in our spirit. Like, yo, we need something new. You know what I'm saying? We need something new. We need a new wave. And that wave is gonna come. And it's gonna swell up from the ground up. The way that DMX did it when it was needed. The way that some people are saying the Scarlett is gonna do it when it's needed. The way that Biggie did it initially when he came. But when his wave rescinded or crescendoed, then it was the wave became, you know, it was shiny because the shit got hacked by Puffy. This nigga, hold on. This nigga right here, the scorpion ass nigga right here. Thank you. Somebody hit me with a cash app. I appreciate that. That's what's up. Shit, why not? Let me put this motherfucking cash app up so I can go get me some Ciroc. That shit is about to be on sale this weekend. Yo, they got a sale on Bud Light. No, to buy one get one free. They do though. They do. They got a sale on Bud Light. They got a sale on Bud Light. They gonna have a sale on Ciroc too. And that shit gonna make more people buy more liquor, so that's not something to celebrate. I'm really not a fan of alcohol, but I have not defeated the alcohol demon enough to speak greasy on it. I succumb to it every now and then. I'm not as built up and impervious to the alcohol demon as I would want to be to talk the way that I need to talk about it. Right? But I got one foot out the door and shit. I'm pointing fingers and throwing shit at it. I'm not all the way in the clear. Because every time I step in the club, I need a drink. That has not changed yet. And I did that shit in my all white the other day. So I was like, this shit really got me. I can't even wiggle it if I wanted to. But I'm working on it. But that means stay out the club, you know, until you build up your resistance. That really also means that the club is boring. And you always need something that's going to give you an edge because DJs don't DJ no more. The art of DJing is a lost art. And niggas is whack in the clubs. They don't know how to motherfucking control the crowd and MC or DJ. Master of ceremony MC, like meaning that. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be nowhere near a drink in my all white and I still found my way to a drink. Unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? I'm being forthright. So, Yeah, but that's a whole nother conversation. I'm not gonna attempt to have that right here and right now. I would only say drink responsibly if you are gonna indulge this weekend. You know what I'm saying? If if you find yourself yeah, if you find yourself hugging a bar, you know what I'm saying, or pouring up a drink, um, yeah, just do it responsibly. You know, be mindful of. Look, I'm asking you to be mindful of shit when you're about to drink. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work, my niggas. Um, this shit is a part of knowing yourself, right? Because to know yourself, you have to know your limits. To know yourself, you gotta know your own personal discretions. Like my baby, she got a how many drink minimum? Two, right? She has knowledge of herself. She knows what her drink minimums are. You know what I mean? And I think at times I probably do too. You know, but I have lied to myself. I have tricked myself. I've watched myself trick myself and allowed myself to trick myself because I wanted to act bad. I wanted to act bad. You could sip, not drink. Y'all be sipping too. You know what I'm saying? All that shit catches up. I be sipping. I'm not a guzzler. Pause. I don't just be getting in there and just knocking off drinks and shit. I do my sippity sip. But it's a pattern. And once you start, it's like, when do you stop? You feel me? I done had myself down to a 2 drink minimum. You know, I've displayed some discipline. You know what I'm saying? But a no drink situation is where I really would like to be. I would really like it to be totally up to my discretion, and I could be like, I don't need none of that shit right now. I'm good. This DJ need to put on some motherfucking music that makes me forget about the bar. And that ain't happened in a long time. Like, these niggas is hella whack. They do not know how to read the room. They don't know how to keep energy at a level, because DJing is a science. And this is the science of sound waves. You have to know systematically. You got to feel, right? You got to feel in order to be a good DJ. You have to be sentient. You have to be able to feel the room. You got to be able to feel the energy exchanges. You have to feel the ebb and the flow. When to throw a certain beat on. When to drop the fucking beat on the song and just let the vocals play and drop the beat. You know, you got to know when to keep the anticipation. You got to be a conductor, right? You got to be a conductor of electricity. So, I haven't found that in a long time. Feel me? Yeah, they destroy the vibe. It's like almost on purpose. I'm like, why? What would make you transition like that? The niggas, they don't got blends no more. They don't know how to blend songs. The transitions is whack. There was always a systematic, and I'm telling you something from somebody who travels and goes to different regions to see how DJs set up regional music to transition into more popular music, right? Atlanta, you know, there's certain music that them niggas got to get they set. They got to get they shit off. You go to West Coast, they got to get the West Coast regional shit off, and then they transition. There's certain songs that are transitional songs that you know, if you a DJ, you're going to use this song to transition into a whole new vibe. Right? I grew up in dance hall, right? And studied them, how they transition music, how they could go straight from motherfucking Selassie I Liveth Every Time and Capleton into the High Plains Drifter, into motherfucking Burro Bonton, into Capleton. You know what I mean? Like, you remember how they did this shit. It's called juggling. You remember how they juggle. It's a technique. It's a skill set. How could you be a DJ that don't know how to juggle? Man, listen. So, it's things that we pray for, you know, especially that the younger generation gets to experience, so they can talk with authority about their times in their life in the club, because the club is important. You know, don't let me take that out of the conversation. Clubbing is very important to a person's social development. You know what I'm saying? To know whether that's what's for you or not. I'm a people watcher, you know, to get into these spaces and these places and to watch people, and I can say it without judgment, but again, that's just me fooling myself. I'm hella judgmental. Like, look at that sloppy ass bitch. Yeah, stupid shit, right? You can't help it. It's the human part of us. But yeah, you should not get consumed in a club. You know, all of these things are tight ropes. You know, all of these are very delicate walks. And you can slip and fall in between the cracks in anything that you're doing, right? You could get one drink and turn into someone who need 4, 5, or 6 and slip into alcoholism. You can go to the club and end up, you know, thinking that there's something that the club is offering you that you got to go there every single day. That's, you know, and once again, I don't know you enough to say that I wouldn't advise it for you, right? I know myself enough to say that no longer works for me. But there was a time when I did it every day. I would club 7 days a week, to the degree that we was in the club so much they just made us club promoters. Shout out to Adam. Shout out to the Collin brothers. Shout out to Cheetahs. Right? That was a hot ass venue. Feel me? So I don't know enough about you to say what is and what isn't for you. I know enough about us as people to say that we're going to need discretion with anything that we do, because it's almost like we all have an addictive personality, and that shit comes from trauma. You know what I'm saying? We all seem to have somewhat of an addictive personality. So because for the most part, the people that you're speaking to are aspects of yourself, we all probably got something in common. Right? And I if I'm shooting in the wind, I would say that it's discernment, right? And discernment and discretions, right? Knowing who is who and what is what, and knowing when enough of something is enough. You can indulge, but don't overindulge, right? And that is only developed when you have a relationship with yourself where you recognize your own voice and you respect it, right? So I be slipping sometimes, and that voice would be like, nigga, chill. Enough is enough. Or you getting out of control. Or what the fuck, man? And I'd be like, let me get some water. Let me get some water. And you start, you know, you start hitting the gas and shit. You start de-escalating. You like, damn, you know, my body's giving me signs that, yeah, that's self-discipline. And we all don't have that. That is one of the hardest of things. But I'm telling you, when you achieve that, you're on your way. There's very few things that can get in your way when you're self-disciplined. There's very few things that can trick you when you learn your internal dialogue, when you recognize that inner voice and you trust it and you challenged it and tried it enough times where it's tried true and tested. Yeah, that shit gonna come through for you when you need it the most. You know what I'm saying? But you don't want to be auditioning on whether that's your voice or another voice in your head when you really need to make a decision in real time. That's not when you want to be figuring this shit out. And your downtime, times of boredom, you know, when you get a message, a missive, you know what I mean? You want to utilize your downtime to affirm whether it's true or not. You run that play on yourself 3 or 4 or 5 times, and yeah, you should be trustworthy. Yeah, that's a voice I could trust. That's my voice. You know what I'm saying? That voice comes through for me. I have eyes, you know, in my head, above my head. You know what I'm saying? Peace, God. Right? You find that discerning voice. You trust that voice. And you assign that voice to be there for you when you need that voice. Yo, I got a higher power that's looking over me. You know what I'm saying? When that higher power needs to communicate, it's going to communicate through signs and symbols, but sometimes it's going to be a voice in my head. Nigga, get the fuck up out of there. And I need to be able to move. I need to be able to trust that voice enough where I know that that voice, that entity, that being has my back. Because it can see things that I can't. You know what I'm saying? But it's part of me. So I'm not going to go against myself and hope to win. That's the setup. You feel me? So these are the things, like I said, you know, that I feel that we share in commonality as a people. Discernment and discretion. Right? Knowing how to tell what's what. And knowing how to tell when enough is enough. Right? You focus on getting those things together in your own personal space and disposition, because these are the things that you're going to need when nobody else is around. Right? I ain't going to be here on live when you need an indicator of how to make a better decision in life. It's going to be you in the trenches, my nigga, by yourself, pulling, right, to get the things that you need to get yourself either out of a situation or put yourself into a situation that's going to better your situation. You feel me? You are going to need that. Walking and with you and you know, in real time, all times. So focus on that. Don't so much focus on what nobody else is saying to you. Focus on establishing a conversation with that voice in your head that when it's saying what it needs to say to you, you can know for sure that that is your higher form and your higher self giving you the advice that's needed for you specifically. Right? Yeah. Wake up in the morning. For the brothers, you know, talk to your, look, man, I'm him. You know, do your workout. Push yourself past your threshold. Know that you have what it takes. You know what I'm saying? But prove it to yourself every single day. And build up that confidence. Build up that confidence. Build up that confidence. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same for the women. You know, y'all got a different beauty regimen, so it's like I can't even positively describe, you know, the whole technique and routine, because y'all do your own thing. But whatever that thing is, and you know, y'all put so much work into that thing. So I just want to say that we just love you as you are. You know what I'm saying? That you're beautiful as is. But whatever extra credit that you, whatever extra technique that you put into that thing, that's self-assuring for you, where when you hear that voice in your head, they be like, bitch, you that, yeah, whatever. I'm not saying, whatever you tell yourself that you need to hear, wherever you have to get yourself to hear that voice in your head, say the things that you need to hear, to step the way that you need to step, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? I'm in full support of it. I don't need to know what it is, though, but I'm in full support of it. You know, that's your safe space. Those are the things that you're going to need when you're going to need something the most. You feel me? Because it ain't going to be people around you. You know what I mean? This is about you. This is all about you. Ultimately, you know, all of these things that we're speaking of and we're looking at, you know, these are external indicators that just reminds you of things internally that you've already learned, came across, so that you need to internalize in real time. But other than that, man, you know what I'm saying? Everything else is just relative. So I want to leave you with that. Thank you. This has been a very expansive conversation. We hit a lot of different bases. You feel me? And we spoke on a lot of things, and I stand on everything that was said. I needed this. You know, hopefully you able to extract something from it yourself that will give you better insight and clarity, once again, into whatever your own personal situation either is or ultimately will be, right? Because you're going to come across people in this community that are offering things to you that are, you know, advertising themselves as X, Y, and Z. So these are jewels and gems that I'm sharing about things that we have been going through. The situation I opened this conversation with, that's a 6-year-old situation. You feel me? It's matured enough that I could speak on it. I wasn't vocal about it during the first 6 years. I let the shit do what it had to do. I wasn't vocal on it the first 4.4 years. You feel me? I let it do what it do. Right? Just so we can later on have this conversation responsibly 6 years later, right? Once we put enough space between us and the incident that we could properly make an observation, a high-level observation of it. A responsible conversation around the observation that is devoid of emotion and vindictiveness, right? We could utilize it as a teacher moment. I can do it for my own personal life, and I can share it with you, and you can utilize it as an example. And even the individuals that have been introduced in this conversation and spoken on, they can even utilize it as a grown moment, properly reflected upon. Okay? So with that, I want to say thank you again. Peace, love, and light. Until next time, all right? Be safe, stay dangerous. Peace.